Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/49 County News TV.
Call it to order and get started. And
They'd have paid me for setting this there.
Herb had maybe an obligation to be at an appointment today, and Tammy's working, so we're gonna be a little short-handed today. And I'm sorry I wasn't in town Wednesday. I'll try to be available on Wednesday afternoon for the remainder of our work sessions, and I just wasn't in town. Was afraid I would have been back early enough yesterday to have had a session, but I didn't know for sure what time we'd get back yesterday. But I worked over half a day yesterday back in the office. But anyway, glad to be back in Hamilton. I had a nice trip to Washington, but I can't identify with much that goes on in Washington. I've never seen so many people in a place. And they use their horns a lot. They blow at one another in the streets.
They holler ugly words at you too.
That's an amazing thing. To watch somebody get cut off and how quick they can set up on their horn.
Old country boys used to drive a wagon and mules get hurt up there.
I'll just make note, we're gonna start approving a set of minutes that Angela's gonna keep our minutes with our work sessions, and we're gonna approve a second set of minutes. So if I ask for another certification or motion and second for the minutes, it'll be our work sessions that I'll be asking for in addition to our regular meeting minutes. Item 1 on our agenda today has to do with the Days Inn driveway. As y'all know, on the south end of town, Days Inn and O'Reilly's share a driveway down there. And so here's your agenda.
Oh.
So Days Inn is requesting that we abandon that driveway to them, and there's a reason. Currently, they have a sign out on the interstate, and if you measure from if you get even with the sign and come to their driveway, they're 3 miles and 400 or so feet away from the sign. 3 miles is the limit. So they're gonna have to move their sign, or if we dedicate that driveway as a part of the motel property and give O'Reilly's an easement to it, which it serves both of them, then they'll be legal and won't have to remove their sign and repost it. But the guy said it brings him 5 or 6 customers a day off the interstate to come in, because he's a brand name hotel, and a lot of people sleep at a Days Inn. So when they see there's one in Hamilton, they come in. But if the sign has to come down, it's gonna cost over $2,000 to put it back up. So he's trying to get legal, but it's gonna take some action from the city to make it happen. And he's requesting that his property start at the edge of 43, the right of way of 43. And the state has told me that that would make him legal if his property was that much closer to the sign.
Well, how about O'Reilly's? Is that all right with them?
Well, Scott and I have talked, and he says he'll give them a perpetual easement to that street where they'll never get cut off. Where if the hotel sells, they still have to honor the easement he'd give them. So the request from the gentleman at Days Inn is that we dedicate that road from the main highway out to the, as a part of the Days Inn property. And we abandoned it to him, and we still provide O'Reilly's, by easement, a right to come and go on that driveway. I want y'all to consider that. I can't tell you how to vote on it, but I do wanna bring it up for a vote, cause he's asked for this help, and,
But the only two it's gonna concern is him and O'Reilly.
that's it.
Well, why don't you, well, O'Reilly's, have you talked to O'Reilly's?
Scott was gonna contact them.
Before we, before I vote on doing something, of course, I don't do anything to hurt the motel, but I sure don't wanna, and, if it's not all right with O'Reilly's, I'd hate for somebody to do me that way if I sit where they are, without me agreeing to it.
Well, that's the request.
I'd rather give them $2,000 to move the sign as to make O'Reilly's mad.
I don't know if they can put the sign back up. I think a sign on that highway has to be within a certain distance of a existing business structure or something, so I don't know if they can find another place to put their sign, if they have to take it down. That's a question I'm not sure about.
Is that a city street now, Mike? Do you know? Or would it kind of be like what we did with those churches and giving the road to them? And
Right.
is that how we'd have to do it?
I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I'd like to know how O'Reilly's, if it's all right with them, it's certainly all right with me, but I don't think we should go and do something to O'Reilly's.
Well,
And
I ran it by Scott, and he thought he could make it right with them. He said, we won't in any way hurt the O'Reilly's
Yeah.
people by doing this.
It gives O'Reilly's two accesses to they've got access from 43 into their parking lot, and this kind of makes it to where they can just kind of circle through there.
Well, that's fine. I'm fine if they're
I'm
fine.
just-
Yeah, if they're fine with it, I'm fine with it. But I'd hate,
I understand, yeah, I'm just explaining how
Yeah,
this.
yeah, well,
how
that's
the
it.
setup is. It don't-
Well, if they're happy, I'm certainly happy. But I wouldn't care, I don't want to punish somebody else,
I asked Scott if he could be here, but he had already made a commitment to a meeting out of town today, and he's in one of our neighboring towns at a meeting and couldn't make it today.
I think that road it may dead end back in there into Days End's property. You can go through that back parking lot, and that may all belong to the Days End, and it comes back out on the National Avenue back there in the backside. But
You think it might go to the other avenue?
if you go through that parking lot back there, in Days End's parking lot where some of the trucks.
Behind the hotel?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to go through that parking lot, and I don't know if the street actually goes through the parking lot or it just dead ends into their parking lot. But I know it turns to gravel back there.
We'll proceed cautiously with this. It may not get on the Monday night agenda. I want Scott to explain his position on it, because he felt good about it when I talked to him, and let y'all hear from him about it. This is a request that's been made to the council and me to abandon that, but the state did tell me that, last week they're gonna go ahead and take the sign down. I think it can be re-erected at the same place, but it's still gonna cost the guy $2,000, but he can't put it back up till he's close enough. He's gotta be within a 3-mile tolerance to put it back up. So he's still gonna be out the $2,000 irregardless. Cause they've had a complaint, the state's having to take it down.
Someone complained that he wasn't within the three.
Pardon?
Someone complained that he wasn't within the 3 miles.
Yeah.
Do you know who complained about it?
I do.
Ridiculous.
I'll tell you privately.
I sure wouldn't wanna, he didn't, with other people, parts. If they,
No, it wasn't anybody to do with the parts.
yeah, I say though, if they were with the other, that it won't make any difference, because,
We'll get deeper into that before we bring it to a vote. We won't have it on Monday night's agenda, but I just want y'all to know that's a request that's been made of the city. I asked Mike to come today. We had talked some at the last meeting about the pothole problem in our city and the fact that we can't really fix those potholes and that'll maintain being fixed. They're fixed for a week or two and then they're potholes again. But we think we might have a remedy, and I'm gonna let y'all go by a place that was repaired this week, and I think Wade knows about it. That's been a sore for years, right down here in front of the Hamilton Home Builders, in front of the house.
Yeah, that house right across from where you turn into the tennis court.
Yeah, across the tennis court, the driveway. That's been repaired by that machine. It looks the best it has in years, as far as I'm concerned. And it just is a good example of what that thing can do.
Mm-hmm.
When I got back in town, Mike suggested I go look, and I couldn't wait to get in my car and go down there and look at it, and it is a good job.
I was really impressed with it. I mean, I think that'd solve our
Is
problem.
that the machine we talked about last meeting?
That's just the machine we
Yes,
talked about on the last meeting. Now, Mike's got some information on the machine, and maybe we'll share some opinions of what he think it can do for us with us today and kind of talk about this. Mike?
What day was that, Wade? You and I went down there and watched it operate. Wednesday?
Wednesday.
That situation down there is kind of an extreme situation because it holds water in it all the time. And if you put patch and stuff in it like we've been doing, just a few days, it just won't bond as long as it's wet. I'm thinking that the way they do it, they blow all the water, they blew all the water out of the hole. And of course, in a dry situation, it'd be any gravel, loose gravel or stones or anything that might be in the bottom of it. But they blew the water out of this one and sprayed tar in the bottom of it, and then filled it with some, it mixes the slag and the tar together as it's putting it out, and then they put a thin coat of this dry slag on top of it, and it dries in about 10 or 15 minutes. But they put a little bit of dry on top of it just to keep cars going across it from slinging anything up. I'm thinking it's gonna last a long time. It definitely lasts longer than what we've been doing.
Oh, yeah.
Under our normal situation, where if we just have a pothole that's dry, there's no doubt in my mind that it'll be fixed. We won't have to go back to it. So I was really impressed with the machine, and I think it would serve the city real well. I was gonna purchase one of them. What I've got here is, we met with this company that sells those things from Montgomery, and he gave us a bid on one of them, and And since then, I've found out that we can go through the Alabama County Joint Bidding Program, and you can actually purchase it through this program and not have to go through a complete bid process where you've got to specify exactly every little thing, and then go to different competitors to see, you know, who's got this and who's got what. It's very similar to the way that we bought the Caterpillar track hoe last time. You basically can go through the joint bidding program and pretty much just purchase what you want and not have to go through all.
Is this the same brand of machine that was
It's
demonstrated?
exactly the same machine that the county has that was demonstrated Wednesday. Yeah, it's the same company that, and everything. So anyway, we've got the bid, we got this in. There has to be a little bit of paperwork filled out as far as,
Does this machine come with any kind of warranties on it?
it has a minimum of a 1-year warranty on it.
Okay.
And that's all in this contract here thing, that specifies the warranty, and it says it has a minimum, they have to have a minimum of 1-year warranty. So I know it would have 1 year, if not, you could probably purchase additional warranties if you need to.
How old's
It hasn't,
how old's the one they gave the demonstration with?
yeah,
10 years
10
old.
years old for sure, yeah.
It still works good?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it works good. It's got a diesel engine on it, which, you know, we're familiar with diesel engines, and, of course, it's a pretty simple piece of machinery, as far as having to do maintenance and stuff on it.
You mentioned it blows the hose dry.
Yeah.
What compresses the air for the
The-
blower?
The engine, which is basically a generator, it runs a compressor,
Okay.
and the compressor will blow out the hole, and it also blows the aggregate into the hose.
The hose that blows through it like that big,
Yeah,
and they just hose it,
it's all,
move it
you
around.
know, all the working mechanism is one man with a toggle switches and stuff on the hand, and it's all weighted to where he's not having to, you know, struggle with it. It's all on a swivel, and looks like it's pretty easy to maneuver around. And
You got a
And how many minutes
horn
it take to
on,
operate?
button on.
you've got one driving the
Driver,
dump truck,
he
one
watches
on,
his mirror and
one on
hit
the
that
back.
horn, he'll
That's
pull
what
it.
I thought it said the other day.
How long does it actually take to do a hole?
Well, we did a pretty big spot down there. What did it take? 30 minutes at the most,
I
but
don't
we
believe
went,
it took that
we
long.
may not. but
It was
we
longer
went-
from here to that wall over
Oh,
yonder.
yeah. It's a pretty big spot.
Yeah, it's a big.
A normal pothole, you know, if you've got one this big around, it's got good shoulders and stuff on it. 5 minutes maybe, something like that, you know. So
Now, this,
it'd take a lot longer to get to it than it would.
How do you
if it
move
was-
this machine around?
It's pulled by a dump truck,
Okay.
yeah. It has a hopper on the front end of it that, I haven't got any pictures of it, but, has a hopper on the front, and of course you just raise the bed of your dump truck, and it's got a chute that drops the slag down into that hopper, and it feeds itself into the hose and mixes the tar.
If we
as it's
were
going
able to
through.
get a machine, have you got a truck that would pull it?
I do, yep. Now, we'll use our oldest dump truck, cause we're gonna have to, this thing also comes with a chute thing on the back. The county didn't look like they had the chute thing, but this one has the feeder thing that you put on you have to mount it on the tailgate of the dump truck. You know, but it pretty much just dumps it in there through a tube, about an 8-inch tube, puts it into the hopper.
now let's get to the main thing.
It's the thing, the quote from the guy is $67,369.
Well,
So
now,
that's the cost of the machine.
all right, I know y'all got some money, everybody has in each, if y'all got the money in for that,
I got my budget this morning, I guess, or Friday. Yeah, I've got enough to cover that, but it doesn't cut it. I'm cutting it close. I think there was 70,
Well, that doesn't matter.
yeah,
I just wondered
yeah.
about if we was gonna have to, you know, the reason I'm asking that, you know, and I'm 100% for that, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We need it bad. But I was wondering, we're cutting it pretty close on everything right now.
Yeah.
The money we're spending, but if you got it in the budget, got the money there, and the other little things, well, it's gonna save us money in the long run.
It will.
There's no question.
Yeah, I think I told y'all at the last meeting we had about this. Last year and the first month or two of this year, we spent somewhere around $23,000, estimated $23,000 on just on patching material to try to patch potholes. We do nothing, we're gonna spend at least that this next
Right.
12 months
Oh,
period of time. And we don't have anything to show for it, basically.
Well, you know, we gotta do something.
Yeah.
Our streets are so bad, we've got to,
This, it would cut down a lot on what we have to spend on patching material. But we keep slag already in stock. We'll be using the same tar that we buy when we're tarring and slagging the road. It uses the exact same stuff. It'll hold 250 gallons of it. It's got a heating system on there to where it keeps it hot. You know, if we don't use all what's in the tank today, we can plug it in tonight and it'll be ready to go first thing in the morning. So, that's another advantage that we don't have as far as our tar truck goes. You know, we've got to use everything that's in that tank that day.
yeah.
So, because we don't have a way of, you know, we can put,
That's another savings, you might say.
right, so
It'd pay for itself, you know.
I think so, yeah. Definitely, I think so, sure do.
Sounds good. I knew we needed something.
I can get Scott to look at this contract thing with, the Alabama Joint Bid Program. It's basically the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's one called the NJPA, which is a national. This is through Alabama. And it's basically the same type program. It's just for the state that they guarantee this price to every county municipality in the state, which is at a state, kind of like a state bid price. I think Angela you may have filled out the paperwork when we bought the Caterpillar,
I did.
and it's basically that.
Well, I know we probably don't want to do this, but I would like you to ask what they would, you got a 1-year warranty on that. That's what they would charge for a 5-year warranty.
Okay.
And, or a 3-year and then a 5-year, you know.
Right. Okay.
And, maybe we don't want it, but let's.
It may have, I just know in this paperwork, it says it has a minimum of a,
1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
It doesn't say it's got any more.
It wouldn't hurt to ask what it'd be if you
Sure.
could get a 3 or a 5-year warranty on it.
It does go on to say here, if you wanted to add any options to it, which, you know, I think the basic thing is what, I don't really know what any options that we would need that's not already on there, but, it says to offer any available options at the percent difference between the manufacturer's suggested retail price and the actual bid price would be a standard machine at 10%. So
I see some pavers working after dark. I'm wondering if they're talking about lights and things like that on this machine.
there are lights, yeah.
Does it have some lights?
Every single option is listed on here, and there's lights, there's a big arrow things on the back of it, you know,
Safety.
that blink both ways or one way or however you want it to blink. So it's got wiring harness so you can plug it into for trailer lights or whatever. So it has all that stuff. And I'm sure to be able to bid for the state, the counties and the cities, that it has to be equipped to make sure that everything's up to snuff on the safety aspect of it. Yeah, but everything, I mean, it goes down and tells you specifically what everything is that's on it, down to the tires and the axles and what size drain holes in the bottom of the tank if you wanted to drain that tank. I mean, it's all spelled out exactly what's in it. So if any of y'all wanted to look at this, I can print off another copy or whatever.
How much did you say it was again? 67?
67,369.
Okay. Do you want me to fax or scan that to Scott Hunt?
You can, yeah. You mean to
I'm gonna
wait?
make a copy of it. You don't need a copy?
Let's be sure to go and find out if
I
they
don't
give a
think that-
three or,
you
three
keep
or a
that.
five.
I've got some emails.
See what for 3 or 5 year warranty instead of
Okay.
just a 1 year, yeah. Okay.
I'll just scan
What you
this to
think?
Scott. Let him look over it.
I like the equipment that's maintained by the manufacturer for a period of time.
Well, your equipment ain't no better than what you warranty,
Yeah,
really. I mean, if the warranty's out, and you ain't got nobody to fix it, you ain't no better off.
at least we demonstrated by a machine that's 10 years old and
Right.
still working great, so that
Like I say,
makes me
it'd
feel
be
good.
great to have the warranty, but at some point in time, the warranty's gonna run out. And
Yeah.
it's something that I think that if need be, that we could take care of ourselves, you know.
I started to say, it's not that big of, you know, it's
No.
got several components, but it's not, you know, it's not something that you couldn't repair it pretty easy, I
I
think.
think so, yeah. And certainly we can get the parts from
Yeah.
them if we need to, so
Surely they sell us parts, huh?
I believe they probably would.
Angela brought me this item right here, it'll be on the agenda Monday night, I didn't want y'all to not know what it's about. This is gonna be the, housing month nationally, and we're gonna need to pass, a resolution, saying that we observe, the, matters that were in Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act in 1968 and as observed by the United States government for fair housing in our city. And we have government supplemented programs throughout the city, and this would have to do with them. And we're gonna need to adopt this ordinance at our meeting Monday night. And Angela made me aware of that just a little bit ago, so if y'all wanna read that over while we're here, you can, and that's what we'll be voting on Monday night. Thank you, Mike, and we'll
Thank y'all.
consider,
Okay.
that, and we can't tell you today, and can't officially vote on
Sure.
anything, but we're taking it into consideration.
Thank
We
y'all.
do wanna get that warranty question answered and
I'll
and
let
see
you know.
whether or not we
I'll
wanna.
talk to you tomorrow. I'll let you know
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yes,
Thank y'all.
Item 3, don't know if we want to do anything with this, I just wanted to throw it out for discussion. I've had a complaint concerning food vendors moving into town, basically bringing little trailers with them, and that's where they cook and operate pretty much out of, and the complaint, of course, is from a person who had a full setup, including ADA access and bathrooms and all the things that would take care of his patrons, and he's saying that there's a difference in the two. And I talked to some mayors of other towns while I was in Washington about food vendors, and they said they allow it, but they changed the fee for one of those food vendors to see if they're really interested in coming. They make the license a little bit saltier. The price goes up if you come and you are not a full service food vendor like a cafe. And they charge more to license those type operations than they do to the cafe owners.
I don't think it's right at all.
Well,
I mean, I've been, I was in the business. I've been mad if they let somebody come in the back of a truck and set it out and not have a license and not paying,
We
But they
were
have to pay, you know, the people that are in business.
there in the parks near the Capitol, along the sides of the streets, you got just lines of food vendors and trucks serving out of windows. You got T-shirt people on the streets. It's an amazing thing. Probably you'll see a line of 20 vehicles up and down one side of the street. Over there's another line down that other street, and everybody that's out in Washington there enjoying tourism buys food from those people. Even some of the folks that work in the Capitol buys food from them. But they're on wheels, and they can drive them away for the most part. Now these are coming in down here on the south end of town right now. We've got two new ones. One sitting up behind the Jack Clark's business there. He owns a telephone store. There's one sitting up right now. It's not in business yet, I don't think. It may be, but they've just got out of town. And then a little further south where Williams Glass used to be, there's another food vendor there.
Sitting up in the parking lot.
And pretty much it's different than what we've seen in the past. We've had Swamp Johns coming to Hamilton for many years for fundraisers, and I really don't have a problem with them coming to town and selling food to help a club raise money and that kind of thing. But they don't stay here day in and day out. These guys are coming to sell food every day for as long as they stay. So we don't have any ordinance that fits that particular. We're licensing them as though they're a cafe now.
Right.
And if we want to make any changes, we're going to have to decide what to do. If y'all want to make some suggestions that we can give to Scott and let him formulate us something to address this, I'm open for suggestion on this. I don't exactly know what to do with it.
Well, we need to see if we can find out what some more smaller towns have done, because I'm not for them going and setting up, person sitting there like that new business with $1 million invested.
Mm-hmm.
And there they come in and sit up right behind them with nothing invested. That's not right. You know,
Well, I
this is
think we
not-
need to give it some consideration and decide if we need to act on it or let the food business work itself out. I mean, I don't know exactly what to do with it. I've never had the question posed till now. And the question's on the table. Yes, ma'am.
I know that Honori or whatever, which was kind of the first food truck that we had, you know, they were set up kind of on a foundation or everything, a little more than just being able to pull it in and out of the parking lot.
Yeah.
And they're getting ready to move in, it's my understanding, if anybody knows,
They
into that
rented.
building.
They rented the building, because you when you go down there, you can see them going in and out
Yeah.
of old Williams
Yeah, I
Glass.
saw him go get some foodstuffs out of the
I
building.
think they're getting ready to actually make that a restaurant
That'll
where
be
you can
more
go
of
in
a
and
complete
sit down.
operation at that point.
But I don't know about the other place. But
Just wanted us to be aware, and I don't think this is the last one that'll come to our town. I think that,
That's what I'm afraid of. We'll be covered up with them. Your restaurants, boy, you got a big overhead, and paying a lot of people. And I just don't think we should.
it's different. Let's say one or two restaurants don't make it because for a while it's a
Yeah.
popular thing and slows their businesses down, and then they close their doors, and then these folks decide there's greener pasture somewhere and move on, and then we're out 4 or 5 restaurants or places to eat. So we got a lot of good places to eat now, and I just want to be fair to all of them, and that's why I'm discussing this today. I think we need to, have our attorney here to listen to us and hear us out on this, and,
I mean, the other people here on the council may not feel like I do about it, but I've been, I've been in the
well,
restaurant
that's
business. and I
that's
know
why
what-
we'd wanna bring
I
some,
don't see where somebody just line up the health department, they can't check them before they,
well, the health department will give them a score. Everybody that serves food is gonna get a score, so
Yeah.
you'll know if they passed the cleanness test and, the temperatures and all that thing's supposed to be checked. And I'm sure it will be.
well, they
And
don't
they
have
don't-
bathrooms and all that stuff, do they?
That's another point, Gene.
See, they don't, I mean,
I don't know a lot about what kind of facilities they'll have there as far as that, and I can't answer all those questions. I've got more questions than I do answers. I'm saying that we need to give this consideration. And
I just hate to see them come in here and do that and set up for nothing and against the other people that got all these restaurants, that's got their life savings, a lot of them in it. That'd be,
That makes a lot of difference.
yeah.
I checked with Ronnie, and he got me the answers. Fines for littering is about $351, and they can't exceed $500. We haven't issued a lot of citations for littering, but I have been getting more complaints that littering is on the rise instead of the decline, even though we've addressed it several times in the paper, and we've addressed it on camera at the meetings, and we've begged people not to litter our town, but actually there's a couple of places where people are kind of dumping illegally, so we've got to make sure that we don't get worse with this, and it's bad, it's really bad. So if we give a ticket, we want to enforce that ticket, right? Is that the consensus? Is that what y'all, yes or
There's
no?
no use of giving it if you're not going to.
No,
If somebody litters our city and our cops catch them, I want us to stick behind our law enforcement on this and not forgive that ticket. I'm sorry, I just don't believe in rolling your window down and throwing it out the window.
yeah.
And that's what's happening, exactly what's happening. People don't mind doing it day in and day out.
Gonna clean that
What is that
car.
fine, $50?
$351.
That
Stop it. I
should
thought it was $50.
start with it.
Well, you can post signs, and say how much it is if you litter here, but the fine is actually much more than $50. According to what I've been told. I have not read that in the ordinance, but he went and got the ordinance, read it to me. So that's a pretty healthy fine. But I want us, if our lawmen give those, I want to stick behind them. And as I mentioned, Scott and I talked about this Charter being our new cable provider, and we need to sign a franchising agreement with them. And we really got to vote and pass it before we sign an agreement with them. So we need to pass a franchising agreement with them at the next meeting. He thinks we need to take care of it Monday night. And if y'all want to, he's looked over the agreement that they provided and hasn't told us that he's made any changes in it. You know, you made some contact with Scott about the wording as to how it's to read
Yes,
on the agenda. Is that correct?
that's right. he just wanted us to refer to it, to approve the assignment of what West Alabama TV Cable had agreed to pay over to Charter Cable. So it's basically just saying that we're going to accept what West Alabama TV Cable was paying us in agreement with Charter Cable. It's just switching from West Alabama to Charter. I don't think it's changing a lot. I haven't read what you have, but we've just got to make a recommendation to
How much are they paying?
total.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd have to look that up. I
Well,
don't
we
know.
need to look in, because I think we talked about looking into raising their fees.
Or rent.
Rent.
The rent.
Yeah. Well, that'd be the same.
No,
Well,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
we get $300 a month in rent currently. We don't know if Charter's gonna have a collecting service in Hamilton. And they may not wanna be in our building. They have not asked to be in the building. I've really got a use for that spot if they weren't here, so, going forward, they might not be collecting their fees here. I'm just not sure.
That'd be important to a lot of people who go and pay their meters.
Yeah. We'll need to discuss that matter too, about whether we're gonna retain them here or let them find an office to, I don't know, I don't think we can continue at $300 a month.
Than what we're paying for,
And we
we
pay,
pay them at
we
just about
pay-
as much as what, you know, I mean,
yeah, it's close to a wash now. There's about $40. We collect about $40 more than we pay out.
that just don't
Okay.
seem right, does it?
No, it doesn't. But, that'll be on the agenda Monday night, the franchise agreement. What we do about our building, we're gonna have to decide.
Well, excuse me there. Don't we need to check with other people about what they're charging for a charter franchise fee there in other towns and things, don't we? We don't know. All we know, we've been getting $300, right?
No, we got 12,000. The franchise fee brought us,
Oh,
That's different.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thought we was getting,
that's just the rent part
Right.
that they pay us to be here.
yeah,
They pay us a pretty nice sum every year for the franchise fee.
okay.
They just
I knew
sent us
that
a
wasn't-
check, they just sent us a check this week for over $12,000 for 17.
17
18.
and 18.
They haven't paid us for 18, 19 yet, because that fiscal year hasn't ended, but they paid us for the last year, and we got over $12,000.
Okay. I knew that.
I believe Ewan's got charter now, hasn't he?
Gibbons has charter now. I don't know if the city hall collects charters bills, or if all the patrons have to mail them in or what.
I don't know.
I'm not sure they'll have a collection office in every town.
Of course, be just as easy to mail, but
Yeah, that'd be a good way to handle it. Now, Alabama Power gives you a return envelope. You can, and the fixed address on your power bill
right.
is Birmingham. I mean, you can still take your power bill and physically pay it at the window in there, but they like you to just either put it on an automatic pay or mail it in. We'll decide what to do about them being in the building. But they haven't asked to be in the building, charter has it. We just always let West Alabama have a place. Northwest Alabama Gas has a little brown building down here between the Chevron and Jack's. And they have agreed to relocate that building out of town But they're gonna ask us, because we were wanting to put a flow lane leaving the phone store, Chevron and Jack's, we wanted to put a merging lane coming north, in front of that, but we can't do it because of their building. And they're willing to relocate it, but they're gonna want us to pay them $75,000 in moving expenses.
We can forget that.
I just asked them
I
what
mean, that's the way I feel. I mean,
it would take. And they went on to say in about 5 years, they're gonna move it anyway,
well,
at their own
it's
expense.
$15,000 a year.
So,
Well,
Believe that.
so, they would like to have it at another location, but they're not, it's not in their budget to move it right now. And to move it's gonna cost them
Yeah, it's gonna cost them a good bit
a
of money.
good bit of money, so they're wanting us to share in the cost
Mhm.
if they move it now. But that would free us up some right of way to put a merging lane,
Yeah.
which has been requested by those business owners down there, to get them moving a better flow, so they don't immediately pull into the fast-moving lanes. They kinda need a merging lane, really,
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
but that's what it would cost us in cash dollars to
Yeah,
get
plus,
them to move immediately.
plus another $500,000 to build the roads.
Well, it's gonna be a fairly expensive project
Yeah.
to build the road,
Yeah.
and we'll have to work with, we'll have to do it all to Alabama Department of Transportation's specifications too.
They'd let us use a pothole machine.
I don't believe the pothole machine will build that road.
I don't think we got the money. We're spending, we need to start watching what we're spending. So we start getting some more in. I don't know how.
We've got a pretty good revenue flow as far as that's concerned, but we are spending a lot of money right now.
Yeah, and we hadn't finished up on this 35 down there and building that truck stop exits, all them streets and things.
Yeah,
See, we're talking about a bunch of money, not hundreds of dollars or thousands. We're gonna talk about millions before we get through there.
we've got.
And the other one too out there.
The state says that they will, if 7 develops, they've got a plan drawn to build that turn lane.
Down through there.
The state will build it. We won't have to build it.
Well, that'd be a big expense off of us
Yeah,
there,
at
just that.
their expense.
Yeah.
We got a new business in town, Daniel Barrett, he and his family have moved here, and he has started, a business called, RTR Pro Entertainment, and they provided music for our first Friday, and did a good job. He wants to become recognized. He's gonna provide lighting, sound, and trons, or whatever you call them, the big projection screens for any kind of activities like concerts. He can do weddings, schools, parties, but he just wants to become known as being a new business in Hamilton. Daniel Barrett, young man, he's a professional DJ, got the voice for it. Very clean cut young man. I was impressed with him. I told him I'd talk about. We have never actually had a lot of success with music events in Hamilton, but everybody loves good concerts, and if we get the right kind of publicity, you know, once in a while I'd like to see us bring an entertainer to Hamilton that would give our young folks something to do and a chance to get out and mix and mingle. And this young man's gonna be in that field And he said if there's anything he can do to work with, events of our city or, anybody that wants to do this kind of stuff, he wants to be included, and he said he can make it happen in fine fashion. He's just growing his business, it's a young business, and he wanted to become better known in Hamilton, Alabama, and I think he's here for the long run. He said he grew up around Tuscaloosa, but just fell in love with Hamilton. He said, I plan to be here a long time, and I want to headquarter my new business in Hamilton. He came to see me yesterday afternoon, and we talked. I talked to him and his associate on the court square at First Friday, and he was a dynamic young man, I think. Heard from Mr. Bass today. He's a former professional athlete, and he wants to come and make a presentation to the industrial board and possibly the council if the industrial board is favorable. He is into building sports complexes for travel ball, and he said that that's getting larger and larger. I mentioned New Albany, Mississippi, and he said that New Albany is a good place for sporting events, but he said if we have a complex like this, possibly we'll get new hotels that will accommodate it. He said you can have as many as 1,000 or more people on a weekend in your city, and they all eat and they buy products. So I just had a chance to speak to him on the phone today. I told him to call Wade Nixon, who's our industrial board coordinator, and he wants a development in our industrial park. He said it's the perfect place for it, and the terrain is perfect for it. And he said it can't do nothing but make money for your city.
That's a money maker. But yeah, I mean, I've been to 2 or 3 of them around. I believe Hartsville's got one. Haleville, they've got a big one. I don't know.
Yeah, I know Amos got one.
He told me he had had an opportunity to speak with Tammy Williams briefly about his idea. I haven't spoken with Tammy about it and what she thinks about it, but there's a lot of movement. He says you don't need to just look at softball and baseball. You need to include soccer. He said it's a common thing. He said your sportsplex needs to have more than, he said it needs to be a happening thing. He said you might host 3 tournaments in one weekend. He said then you bring 3,000 people to your city. He said he knew the Wyndham Hotel people, that they've already developed some where Wyndham came right with them. And he said I know other hotel developers. He said we've brought as many as 2 with the complex. Here comes 2 hotels, because you fill them up all summer long. And he said
A humongous crowd that follows them.
yeah.
And the oldest girl of mine plays travel ball.
But this is the first time I heard from him. He just contacted me this afternoon, and he talks a good game. I really don't know yet a lot about it, but I told him to talk with Wade. If Wade wants to give him an audience with his board, then if they recommend that we listen to him, the council can listen to a presentation and see where it goes. So nothing's set in stone. We just got some contact from these folks today, and he says that Hamilton is the right distance from a lot of towns that like to meet and host these tournaments, and would be a perfect venue for it. And then he said, state lines don't stop them. He said, they cross state lines, you'll have groups go to Florida and play, you'll have groups go to Mississippi and play, you'll have groups that go to Tennessee and play. But he said, it's an amazing thing, people that follow this stuff and have good athletes to offer. Sky's the limit on it.
We're already got our kids or girls into this softball league. I went last night, ball game over there, they had a bunch of them there. Gracious tied up and that, and they go everywhere. That softball league.
Yeah, Sandy.
We've got,
Baseball,
Ref-
they go
softball
everywhere
field.
too. I mean,
there's a lot of people over there too. Get a party.
the school, their teams are over, I think, this weekend. Then they'll start in with the travel ball.
Yeah, they got it here in Hamilton already.
But they can't play both at the same time.
Yeah.
Angela, what am I forgetting today? It seems like I had something else I was gonna bring up. Well, we've used a good hour of our time, and I appreciate y'all attending, and some of these things, I just wanted to introduce them to you and let you think about them. We'll work some more on this, ordinance or whatever we come up with for the food vendors. I really want us to bear down on this littering problem. It's huge and it's growing. Be ready to address the fair housing ordinance that we would need to pass at our next meeting.
That just declares the month of April as Fair Housing Month in the city of Hamilton. That
This
keeps
is
us
just
compliant.
affirming that Hamilton complies with all the rules for fair housing. And I noticed today that's making news, 28,000 people along the coast of California are identifying as homeless. 28,000. We're a city of 7,000 people. Add 21,000 to that don't identify as having anywhere to go to call home. 28,000 people. The city leaders and the community leaders are getting together to address the problem. It's huge. And there's some other, someplace in the state of Washington was doing it last 2 weeks ago, addressing their homeless problem. So some of these areas, believe me, we've had some folks walking our streets lately that apparently had nowhere to go, carrying a bag,
Backpack.
and you know, it's if that becomes a problem, it's a large problem.
Yeah.
So we want to be sure that we try to not become that type of city. Okay, we're adjourned.